The following video is brought to you by the guys at the Wrecking and Racing Podcast, a NASCAR podcast made by the fans for the fans. Check them out at www.wreckingandracing.com, facebook.com/wreckingandracing, and Twitter @wreckingandracing. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Saka here, and welcome back to another episode of NASCAR Racing 2003 season, the 2019 mod. We are here at Kansas, a 1.5 mile, sort of a flat track akin to Chicago, and we've qualified okay here on the inside of the third row, and looks like Martin Truex Jr. is on the pole for this race. Brandon is just a few rows back behind Kevin Harvick there, and we will settle in behind Kyle Larson waiting for the green flag. We have to run 7 laps before we are within our fuel window. After that, all bets are off, although we want to sort of split the race in half to keep the tires under us here. Tire wear is a thing, just like the green flag, and we are racing here at Kansas. Kevin Harvick holding that white line, but Brandon wasting no time on the inside in that wreckingandracing.com podcast Toyota. It kind of pushes up. Harvick goes to the top, forcing Joey Logano 3 wide. Brandon should get the drive. We have Jimmy Johnson looking to the outside and Kyle Busch to our immediate outside. The Highline rolls really well here, although one thing that doesn't roll well is mine and Brandon's cars. We tend to grind out here. We've got the springs very soft, trying to keep that splitter on the ground. However, if we drive in too hard, that splitter grinds. You can see Brandon in our mirror grinding, a lot of sparks flying. It's fast when you're right on that edge with that splitter, but once you start grinding out, the car wants to push. You have no feel in your front tires. The car wants to just go straight, and you can see Brandon's making it work, though. It looks like that trailing arm on the back there is dragging the track, but you know, whatever works. It's fast, that's for sure. But yellow flag is out. I don't know exactly what happened. We've taken the caution. You can see the skid marks there in between turn 1 and 2. Look like a vicious spin into the wall. That we are not within our window right now. If we came to pit road, depending on how long this caution is, we may pit at the end of it and see where that puts us in the lineup. So I will be right back with you, either for the green or for pit stops, depending on how long this yellow is. Well, this is certainly unexpected. The leader, Brad Keselowski, has grenaded his engine while under yellow here. I don't exactly know what the meaning of that is, but Brad was out there leading laps, and unfortunately, it looks like his day is done. So it looks like Martin Truex Jr. will inherit the lead when we go back to racing, unless all of these guys pit to shuffle up the order, but bad luck for Brad. All right, this is the lap that we are within our window, so instead of having the mistake under green flag conditions of coming in, possibly speeding, possibly missing pit road, and really screwing the race, myself and Brandon are going to pit. Hopefully our pit crews can get it absolutely topped off. Every drop matters at this point. We'll be either on the ball exactly, or we will be 1 lap short, so we'll have to save fuel a bit during this run. But the one question that I have is tires. So will our tires be good at the end of this run compared to everyone else? But Brandon comes on pit road first. We will beat him off of pit road here and get lined up to the tail end here. We want to short shift as much as possible, not get the RPMs up at all, because every drop matters at this point. We're either going to be really big heroes or really big zeros, depending on how this race unfolds. If we get another caution, though, we can stay out and leapfrog all of these guys who have chosen not to pit. There is no way these guys can make up 7 laps over the course of a run, and we can see the remains of that last crash here. Looks like Chris Buescher in front of us. It has some damage, but green flag is out, and I'm not really going to get on the hammer hard. And you can see Brandon back there maintaining pace as well. We just want to keep these guys in front of us, be far enough back to avoid any incidents if they arise, but be close enough that we can pass all of these guys when they come to pit road and have some room left over. So myself and Brandon are going to be on the same strategy. We'll pass these guys if we catch them, but catching them is not our goal. I'm actually going to run about half throttle down here on the straightaway. We're still pegging almost 9,000 RPM getting on the rev limiter, but we're letting off very early, letting the car coast a ton and waiting to get back in the gas. And that looks like Kurt Busch, who is missing his rear clip. So we've got the damaged cars back here. A few cars are out of the race at this point, so we've made up those spots. But really, we're just waiting on all of these guys to pit and being leery of any accidents that may happen. Everyone's running single file for the most part. You see a couple cars up there running too wide, but we are not going to stick our nose in any of that. And, you know, this is the antithesis of every race car driver when you tell them, no, don't go as fast as you possibly can. Save me fuel. Save as much as you can. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that fuel pressure gauge. Racing Brandon essentially for position, so depending on how hard he runs me is how hard I feel I need to run. It's that old game of cat and mouse where a couple guys are on the fuel mileage race and they're right by each other and they may push each other to run out of gas. So we need to be very ginger on the throttle, be very easy getting back into it, and very conservative when we roll out. Not get back to the gas. Wait until almost turn 4 to get back in it when we could easily get back to the gas much sooner. Yeah, looks like Brandon is using a little bit more fuel than we are. I'm going to try to keep him behind me, but once, like I said, if he gets around me, I'm going to sort of run my race and just keep him within view is the main goal. If anything, if he's not wanting to pass me, he can use me to monitor his fuel mileage as well. It just comes down to how aggressive he wants to be. He's looking to the outside. Yeah, he rolls out now nice and early, so he's definitely doing the fuel mileage thing as well. We're grinding a little bit going into the turns. The car isn't handling exactly perfect, even though we're not really running fast enough to get the tire pressures up to optimum temperature to keep this car off the racetrack. So, you know, running slower, we save some tire wear. On the downside, we're more likely to scrape in the middle of the corner. There's Brandon using the apron, trying to take the shorter way around the track. That's another way to save fuel mileage. Running up against the wall, you actually extend your lap by a quarter mile. The track length is measured on the very inside of the racetrack. So if you're a wall runner, you're actually using up more fuel. So we'll try to stay on the bottom as much as we can. I don't think there's any need to really run the apron, but we could to save just that little bit of distance. You know, shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So here we go, catching these wrecked cars though. Looks like they're backing up, and what we need to be very wary of is them coming to pit road. So we don't want to be on the bottom just in case they decide to really slam on the brakes and pit. Is Chris Buescher pitting this lap? He is not. But I imagine these guys, I mean, we're past the halfway mark. So I imagine these guys are going to run this race out as long as they can, maybe get a late caution and have very fresh tires for the finish. At least if I was their crew chief, that's what I would be doing. Make short work of Chris Buescher, and you can see the scraped up rear end of Kurt Busch. And Brandon looking to the inside. We're going to let him go. Ross Chastain holding up Kurt Busch there. Kurt tries to make a move, and so are we. Let's go 3 wide and put both these guys down for position. So even when these guys pit, we'll be just extending our lead on these guys for sure. There's Kurt down next, Tanner Berryhill, and then Jeffrey Earnhardt. We've got some daylight in front of Berryhill. I'm going to give him some room just in case he decides to come down this time. And he doesn't, so we have a lap to mess with him. and we can get a good drive here, even running 3/4 the throttle. We're catching Berry Hill very quickly. So now that Berry Hill, well, he fights back a little bit, but we've got him. Now that Berry Hill is in our mirror, we can run our own race once more. No fuel gauge in these cars. The only thing we have is a pressure gauge in the bottom left-hand corner. You see we're running 9 PSI. That is going to start to drop as our fuel diminishes, and once it reaches 0, of course, no fuel pressure, no fuel pumped, and the engine is going to start stuttering. So, you know, we're going to have to watch out for that. If we have to pit now for fuel to do a splash and go, we would basically be pitting with these guys. These would be the guys we would be racing. And speaking of which, Jeffrey Earnhardt peels off towards pit road. We've got a bunch of guys coming down, so there's half the field there. Chase Elliott in front of us is the next car for position. They chose to go another lap. And so far, fuel pressure is looking good, but you know, we have to save as much as we can, so we've made up quite a few spots on that exchange. Hopefully these guys are coming to pit road this time. It does look like they're slow. Indeed, they're on the bottom. Hi, Landon. Barely missing Landon Castle there, and I think that's the rest of them. We will be taking the lead here as soon as we pass these cars coming off of pit road, I believe, unless there is a third group. But there's Martin Truex Jr. and Kurt Busch. If Kurt Busch can hold up Martin Truex Jr., that would be good, but that was a pass for the lead. And speaking of pass for the lead, Brandon was looking to the inside there. So this is it. This is for the race. And doesn't look like Martin Truex Jr. is in the mirror, and I don't know if he could get up to speed as quickly with Kurt Busch's damaged car in the way. Yeah, we've got some more cars peeling off of pit road here. We've got Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson. So we'll make short work of them, and if they blend up into Martin Truex Jr., they'll get slowed down as well. So put us up by maybe 5 or 10 seconds, but even then I believe that may be putting them a lap down because the initial pass when they were on pit road was for position. Then we passed them again when they were coming off pit road. So any car that we see in front of us will be on the tail end of the lead lap. So myself and Brandon are looking like heroes now. Everyone has cycled through under green flag conditions, so if the yellow were to come out now, we could definitely ride in fourth gear and clutch to save the gas. We would be at a tire disadvantage though. We've been out here on these tires for quite some time. Still no white flag in the hand of the flagman. Brandon keeping me honest right on that back bumper. And I know he's in fuel conservation mode. I don't know if he's made any legitimate attempts to pass me. It looks like he's been content to run, and basically if I run out, he runs out. We're running identical lap times here. But I'm trying to get back to the gas a little bit, you know, softer than Brandon. You can see how he drives up to our rear bumper right there. In fact, he's going to the inside. We will concede that position, roll out here up on the top, and let him go. Oh, geez. Oh, contact. All right, no worries, no worries. I am not upset. Right now we're sitting in second. Everything is looking clever. With Brandon running that hard, he may be running out, and especially since he's taking that higher lane, he may be using more fuel as he goes around. So let's flip the roll, shall we? We'll keep Brandon honest right here on his back bumper and just riding here and seeing what we could do. I'm still going to take the bottom of the racetrack, though, the shorter way around, save as much fuel as I can. I don't know if maybe Brandon has extended that by a lap, running that outside lane like that. I don't know what his fuel situation is, but we are close. I mean, very close. It may come down to the wire. We will see. Still no white flag in the hand of the flagman. We're going around. So we really need this to shake out green. We need this to stay as it is, and we need to stay on the bottom, or at least running lower than Brandon. We're still here. We can make the move at any time, but we will roll out. Be nice and conservative here. Brandon's still scraping like crazy. We're doing okay as far as our ground clearance is concerned, but here we go. White flag. It's time to make it happen. We're down to 6 PSI, 1 lap to go. This is for the marbles here. I mean, we could be content running in second, but I'm going to drive hard here and see what we got. Fuel light is on, coming on the backstretch, only 3 PSI. All right, here we go. Let's get to the corner, shorten it up as much as we can, look to his inside. Oh, it looks like he's stumbling. Let's get to the outside, off the wall, keep your foot in it. His engine might be stumbling. We might get him. I think we might have got him. I think we might have got him at the line. Let's take a look at it from the TV camera as the car's coming around. In fact, we did. Position 1. How close was it? There you go, ladies and gentlemen. About a half a car length. We scraped up Matthias of Hungary, but it was for a good reason, because we got the win here at Kansas. Let's take a look at the top 10. So Brandon will come across in second on an empty tank. Third place for Jimmy Johnson. Fourth place for Kyle Busch. Fifth place for Kevin Harvick. 32nd for poor Kurt Busch. Seventh place for Kyle Larson. Sixth for Martin Truex Jr. Eighth for Clint Boyer. Ninth for Alex Bowman. And William Byron, his Hendrick teammate, round out the top 10. And there was a yellow flag during that exchange. Let's take a look, because we know Kurt Busch got a ton of damage. Let's see when he gets his rear deck lid back. It was fairly early in the run, I remember. Here we go. I mean, Kurt Busch was already in the grass the lap before. I mean, that's not good for anybody. All right, let's go TV2, see what happens in front of Kurt. He and Denny Hamlin go to the bottom on the apron. Kurt gets checked up. You can see the 37 and into the wall, the 38, over and over. Ty Dillon also involved. Man, what happened to the poor 38? That was incredible. So the 38 minding his own business, David Reagan. Down there on the bottom, Kurt Busch gets in front of him. He gets loose into Jeffrey Earnhardt, and then Ty Dillon, with nowhere to go, up and over and into the catch fence, and then back on 4 wheels. That was a vicious ride. Let's go on board with the 38 of David Reagan here on his roof camera and watch it unfold in real time. There's the hit, there's the turn, over and over. Hang on to your doggy bags. And that was a hard hit. But let's take a look at the standings. Brandon with 5 wins. I've almost caught the difference with 4 wins. Eric Almirola, Brad Keselowski, and Ryan Blaney are your other winners this year. Kyle Busch is now your cutoff driver. He is 1 behind Chase Elliott. Joey Logano now 9 points back. But Eric Jones, Clint Boyer, and Paul Menard all within a half a race. Easily, and up to Kevin Harvick in 13th, Martin Truex Jr. in 15th. So still, from 10th to 20th is anybody's race, but they get a break here. Coming up to the All-Star break, next week we will do a TV presentation format, 3 20-lap segments, and win or go home. Bring anything back but the steering wheel, and that's fine. No points on the line, just bragging rights. So we'll see you next week at Charlotte. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next NASCAR Racing 2003 season video. Take care.